To explain the biblical story of the evolution of the universe in 10 minutes. And this is the beginning. This is all the truth and all the laws that deal with love and physics and chemistry and math. And the truth was God. And in this beginning, God brought forth understanding, and He separated truth from fiction. And then by total understanding of all of His laws of truth, that once God understood them completely, He knew exactly what they were going to produce. This is Adam and Eve, and this is Jesus Christ, and the planets and the quarks of atoms, and all this, quasars. So on a tetrahedron, I put all the electrical laws, and they all fit perfect. So if the electrical laws can fit in structure, then so can all the rest of the laws of physics. It might not be a tetrahedron, or some might be a four-sided pyramid, and some a cube, some a buckyball, and so on. But the physics laws can all be in structure. And this is a structure that I created just for an illustration out of toothpicks and a hot glue gun. And if you expanded this structure 1/1000th of an inch on each one of these toothpicks from here to eternity, then you would get a red shift. The further out you look, the faster everything would appear to be moving. This is a structure again that I illustrated in 1995 when I was working at Johns Pass in Madeira Beach, Florida. And this shows the geometrical structure of the universe as laws were established. This is the Big Bang, and this is when the laws were established. Solomon called it a roar, and science calls it the Big Bang. And they were particles being generated in the universe after the Big Bang, but nothing could be seen because elementary particles are too small to see, and the universe showed up as just being dark. And science finally got to where they could photograph the cold dark matter, and this is a photograph of it. And so the universe was being filled with cold dark matter. And as it filled, it was like patches of clouds in the sky, and zillions of them, and they formed little eddy currents, and then they flattened out and formed disks, and this is what formed the quasars. This is my picture of the quasar as an illustration, and I made back in 1995. These are supposed to be elementary particles going in, and then the hydrogen spewing out in jets on the vertical lines. And this is another illustration, and the early quasars, science couldn't see a disk. There wasn't no disk there. It was just the jets and the brilliance of the light. And the reason they couldn't see anything is because you can't see elementary particles. But hydrogen atoms were spewing out from the jets, and there were zillions of these quasars, and they filled the universe with hydrogen atoms. And this is my version of the hydrogen atom. It's just a four-sided pyramid with a pyramid under it, which is an electron, and this is a proton. And these hydrogen atoms were made from elementary particles, and there's over 200 elementary particles, and each one has its own characteristics and its own values. And some of them are just forces, and some of them are solid matter. And they had to be designed because they had to produce the hydrogen atom, which produced all the other chemical elements, which went on and on and on and produced the universe and produced life, and everything that we have, everything that we see, and everything we know is real came from these elementary particles. So they had to be designed to do what they did. So if you ever wonder if there's any such thing as God, then think of the elementary particles. How did they get here, and who designed them? Alright, these hydrogen atoms swarm around in eddy currents, and they produced neutrons. And you got neutron jets coming out of the quasar, and neutrons fill the universe from all these different quasars. And this is the second generation of quasars. they had a disk that you could see, and they were hydrogen atoms. And this is my version of the atoms, and this is my atom. This is a dusty atom. Bohr has his atom, and I got my atom. And my atom fits with photographs that science has made with a scanning tunneling microscope. Look up scanning tunneling microscope on the internet, and you'll see these pictures of different atoms. This is a lattice structure, and it is the same as lattice structure that's on the side of this protactinium atom. So everything fits. And when the universe first started to form, there was a cloud. I didn't illustrate it. It's a big cloud, a molecular cloud that as large as the Milky Way, and it formed it had molecules and elements in it, and within this big molecular cloud and this protoplanetary nebula clouds form. And they are the same as seawater in space. If you took seawater up in space and turned it loose, it would look like this. And all the heavy elements would go toward the center of the cloud, and then lighter elements would settle around the outside. So hydrogen would be all around the outside. And as the cloud pulled together by gravity, it rotated in an eddy current, and the heavy elements stayed inside, and the lighter elements on the outside. And it flattened out into a disk, and right in the center of the disk was the heavy elements. That's where the inner planets form. And the lighter elements were to the outside, and that made all the other planets, the big planets like Jupiter and Saturn and all of those, which are mostly gases. And that's why. And if you took one of those clouds and you split it in half, that disk, then you would see, I don't know if you can see it on this screen or not, but right in the center of this cloud is the dark heavy elements. And then the lighter elements have it sandwiched in like a pancake. Like this is the heavy elements, lighter elements on the bottom, lighter elements on the top. So you have heavy elements and lighter elements to form the inner disk where the inner planets form. And this is, if you're looking at it from up above, then this is all the different planets that form. And this is an illustration of all the planets forming. Of course, this is not to scale, and these planets, you wouldn't be able to see them if it was to scale. They'd be so tiny, but I made them larger so you could see them forming. This is the moon Europa, and it's similar to the Earth when it formed. It's a good model of the Earth, and not exactly the model of the Earth, but it's pretty close. And it had water around it, and the water froze over and made an ice layer on top, and then you had the water, and then you had the crust of the moon Europa underneath that. This is the evolution of the Earth and the interior of the Earth. And the first ring the Earth formed from was uranium, and that was the craton of Ur that was on the surface. And so that's the oldest surface area on the Earth, and it had uranium, a core underneath it. And so then the next ring that was picked up was the heavy elements. And the heavy elements formed around the uranium core, and they're a good insulator against radiation. So when the uranium gave off the radiation couldn't reach the surface of the Earth, so it didn't hurt the seed. And the seed was in the Earth, and that's what made the plants grow. This tiny Earth was like a little nuclear heater, because it didn't have a mantle, it didn't have no iron core, it wasn't insulated, it was just giving off heat through chemical heat, radiation. And then the next core, that next ring was made of iron, and the Earth picked it up and it made the iron core that surrounded the heavy elements.